Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul with a solo-only episode today. Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, you're probably listening to this. Really appreciate wherever and whenever you're listening for giving some time to the show and supporting us. These shows are not very common for us. It's a rare solo show, but with Ziggy moving on over the next couple weeks and the season right around the corner, I want to do some more solo stuff. And while I've done a lot of that before in my broadcasting career, I just like to get some more reps, right? I mean, it's really strange when you haven't been doing solo shows. It can take a little while to get into that rhythm. And to be candid with everyone, right off the top, I really have a tough time with the first 10 seconds, I'd say, of the recording. It's just your brain's all over the place, and I'm saying hello, welcome in, please subscribe, thanks for listening, and the rundown, whatever it is. And I often get pretty frazzled with that. This is like the second or third time I've done it. People in my apartment probably just hear me going, "Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show," over and over and over again. But it's good practice. It's good to get some reps in on these as we approach the regular season. Probably doing a lot of post-game reactions, maybe some solo ones there. So hopefully this goes well. I hope everyone is having a great Wednesday so far. There were a few topics. It's going to be a little bit of an untraditional show beyond just being me. Some topics that we typically don't get into. Not really going to hit on anything that's happening leading into training camp. More so just stories that I found interesting or wanted to talk a little bit about. We'll start in a little bit with the Ryan Clark situation, what happened there with ESPN. A lot of people are talking about that. Tom Brady's making headways all over the place with or headlines all over the place with his recent behavior at Fanatics Fest and at the World Cup game. People are saying he's tainting his legacy here. Just want to get into that as well. And then sum up the World Cup. I don't think we touched on that on the Tuesday show, yesterday's show. So I would like to just leave a couple final thoughts on that, where the ratings came in, and they're just great. The numbers across the board for the World Cup, especially some of those bigger games. I just want to finish reacting to that, the Spain-Argentina final. If you guys feel free to drop in mailbag questions on the YouTube community page. You could also go over on Instagram or on Twitter. Feel free to DM them to us over the next few weeks. At the end of episodes, I'd love to get some mailbag questions in. Right now, there is an open-ended forum on the community page for you to leave any questions, comments, whatever it is. Can be about anything. Can be about broadcasting as a career. We'll try to answer as many of those as we can. And again, if you're a member, we will read that question no matter what, almost no matter what, I should say. And you can become a member by going to our YouTube homepage, select join member. And please, if you're enjoying the content, would really love your subscription to the show, as we're chasing down 30,000 subscribers still. If you haven't done that, that'd be huge for us. I'm going to try to start hammering down some more asks for subscriptions throughout the episodes. Apparently, that has great numbers, so gonna do that. Very excited, guys. Just got tickets to Notre Dame, Wisconsin at Lambeau Field. I believe it's the first week of September. Gonna be a Sunday before the NFL season starts, and I'm not sure how many people who are listening, have been around that long with the show. But in 2019 or 2020, I actually bought the Notre Dame, Wisconsin shirt that had the home and away, Soldier Field, Lambeau Field. And what wound up happening is, because of COVID, it got delayed. So the Soldier Field game was played in the 2021 season, and that was supposed to be the Lambeau game. And now here we are 5 years later. This game is finally happening at Lambeau Field. I've been walking around with a shirt commemorating an event that never happened for 5 years. So those tickets were out of control when they went up for sale. Found a few of them that were more moderately priced, still a little expensive, but we'll be up in Green Bay for that game. Maybe we'll do some sort of meet and greet if people are interested. I'd also love to get up there for a training camp day. Would love to also to get to a Bears training camp day. I believe they're in Lake Forest, which is fairly close to where I am here in Chicago now. But next week, I won't be in Chicago. I'll be back in Jersey with the guys for Ziggy's send-off show. That should be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a charity fundraiser as well, a live stream. And hopefully we send Ziggy off the right way, with him allegedly making a decision on who his fandom or who he'll cheer for in 2026, which is just a ridiculous thing that we're running. But it's Ziggy's last show, so I'll let him do what he wants. Pretty unbelievable. It would be an unbelievable betrayal if he didn't stay as a Viking fan following what, 5 years of cheering them on together. I mean, that's insane. Talk about someone being I guess he's going into the priesthood. I shouldn't say someone getting corrupted by an audience here as he has with the Packers fans, but clearly no one wants that. I'm actually really pumped for this drive home. Gonna stop at Cedar Point. I've been there like 10 years ago. I might just stop on the way, rip a couple coasters, get back in the car, keep driving back to Jersey. So if anyone's at Cedar Point over the weekend, maybe I'll run into you. Steel Vengeance is a roller coaster that allegedly is unbelievable. If anyone's been on it, let me know. I can't wait to get out to that. All right, let's get into the Ryan Clark situation here. And it's one that I knew, I knew I wanted to talk about when it was happening. And then earlier today, a couple of my buddies in some group chats start talking about it who are sports fans, but not as plugged in as I am. And I figured, okay, if I'm getting texts from these guys about the Ryan Clark thing, it's worth talking about. I put out a clip on Nick's show immediately after we finished, and it's doing unbelievable. I don't know what the number's at now, but this is something that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people are interested in, and it's an unfortunate situation, right? So basically what happened, ESPN or Disney acquired the NFL Network and Red Zone from the NFL, I believe in January. So that's maybe February, 6 months ago. And, as the ESPN chairman, Jimmy Pitaro, said in a memo recently, with that merger, it's going to lead to a lot of layoffs. And a lot of notable people on Tuesday here when I'm recording Tuesday evening were laid off today. Unfortunately, it's Tom Pelissero, who's staple of NFL Network for years. Carl Ravitch has been at ESPN since 1993. Charles Davis, Bart Scott, Cam Newton, not as established guys in Newton, but still some big time personalities laid off the show. David Lloyd, who's been on SportsCenter forever, Stefania Bell. With fantasy stuff. So it's really sad whenever these sorts of layoffs happen. But it's part of the industry. It does happen. The most notable one by far, though, has been Ryan Clark because of the manner in which it went down. So Clark, since the Super Bowl, allegedly, he's been rumored to possibly being let go by ESPN. And they made the decision that they were going to do that, and he was going to be told on the 21st, on Tuesday, today. But during the Monday filming of NFL Live, ESPN, and earlier in the day, somehow that information leaked, and ESPN started getting a bunch of inquiries about it. What's going on with Ryan Clark? Is it true you're letting him go? And they decided during the filming of NFL Live, when Clark was on the air, to during the commercial break, tell him instead, hey, we're letting you go. And he did not go back on the show, which is kind of insane, right? Kind of insane to be on air, pulled off during a commercial break. You're pulled off, you're fired, you're not back. And I'm pretty sure I haven't seen them, so I'm not positive that this is what happened, but I'm 95% certain ESPN then posted social clips of Ryan Clark's takes when he had just been let go a little earlier that afternoon, again, while on the show. And once the leaks happened, it's ESPN was just in a tough position. I don't know what you're supposed to do there. The problem is that it got leaked and that you can't have a secure enough system in place where you can make these decisions and then carry them out as you intend to. But once that leak happened, I don't necessarily think they did it the wrong way by telling him in person, even if it was during the recording of his show. As opposed to him finding out on social. I mean, if you're sitting there at the desk, you see Ryan Clark, who's been about to be let go by ESPN, that might be a worse situation than the one we have right here. But it's really embarrassing for ESPN. Obviously, it's not the way they wanted it to go down. But the more that what was coming out about it on Monday, it was just, all right, this is really unprofessional here. And I always liked Ryan Clark. Growing up, I think he's been with the company since 2014. He was always one of my favorite analysts. I know that on social media, he's a lot more controversial, and you get into politics and stuff. And I try and avoid that, even though I'm a producer, right, in sports media. I have my own show. I try to stay off it as much as I can, other than just getting news. But as far as on-air personality, I always enjoyed Ryan Clark, and I thought one of the shining moments of his career was actually following the Damar Hamlin incident, when it was him and Scott Van Pelt for hours. It felt like um, it was hours, just breaking down what was going on in a really, really uncertain time, and really you couldn't break down what was going on because no one knew. It was chaos. And I mean, talk about a moment in sports where you remember where you were. The Damar Hamlin situation, it felt like the world stopped for a night, and everyone's trying to see, is this guy alive? Is he brain dead? It was scary. It was a horrifying night, and I thought Ryan Clark was extremely professional. Um, and just a calming voice that night when everyone was really scared. I thought that was one of the shining moments of his career. Obviously, everyone has their moments that are good and bad if you're on camera that often, right? I mean, I've had my good and bad moments. Everyone I've produced for has had their good and bad moments. And Clark, it seems like one of the big reasons he was let go was a week one incident from 2025, where while debating CD Lamb's performance, Peter Schrager was defending CD's play. Remember, he had a really poor week one against the Eagles. I think he dropped a couple big passes in the fourth quarter that would have given Dallas the win, or at least put them in a position to win. And as Schrager was making his argument for CD, Ryan Clark came out and pretty much just said, this is the non-player in you talking. And later on in the day, he apologized for his on and off air comments with Schrager. We don't know what was said off the air, but apparently since that moment, there's been some tension, and it seems like, it's been leading to what happened on Monday afternoon. I don't know all the details about it. I think Ryan Clark's handled it really well. He came out Tuesday morning and put out a really nice message, kind of saying, understand the way it happened, or understand what happened, just go forward, God bless, that kind of stuff, which I give him credit for. But yeah, like obviously ESPN didn't want it to go down this way. It's a bad look for them. But once these leaks happen, it's kind of tough. And you really, the worst side of this is for all the producers out there. That's where my mind goes too when these things happen, because that's a harder job to get than Ryan Clark will be okay. Carl Ravitch, if he wants to get for baseball, it'll probably be okay or retire. Tom Pelissero, great reporter, right? Really well connected. You don't have room with Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport there. I'm sure he'll get a job. And I'm not trying to say anyone on air or writers, right? That it sucks when you lose your job, and obviously I feel bad for all of them. But I relate mostly to the producer side of it, where it can be tough to get a job of the same quality. So it's unfortunate, but just kind of wanted to address what happened there, and it was embarrassing for ESPN. Speaking of embarrassing, so Tom Brady's been all over social media over the weekend. Fanatics Fest, he's slapping Logan Paul. They're flipping each other off at the World Cup game. Clearly, this thing seems to be headed towards Tom Brady being in the WWE in some fashion, probably fighting Logan Paul. I don't know, what this is going to. I don't watch the WWE. I have a few friends who are really into it. I know it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and people love it. So I'm sure Tom Brady getting involved, is good for his brand, right? At least money making wise. We'll get into the perception of it in a second here, but he'll definitely make money from it. And the WWE, you have to imagine, will make a shit ton of money if Tom Brady fights Logan Paul. That seems to be the culture that we're in now, where celebrities just fight each other. I'm kind of over it. In the beginning, it was a little fun. I watched some of the first fights we had. But now it's just, it's kind of like podcasting to in a sense, where when this thing started 5-6 years ago, podcasts started to really grow. It's kind of cool. Like I remember Draymond being one of the first athletes to have a podcast, and the volume had him pretty early on. And it was awesome getting the player perspective in an unfiltered manner, where usually you had guys going on television where they were a little more censored, felt a little bit more uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden everyone was in front of the camera and it was their show, right? I remember we signed Bryce Young and we had Kyle Hamilton. And when Brian Kelly got fired, that night, producing Inside the Garage, I texted those guys at 10 o'clock at night. It's like, hey, let's do this right now. And they came out and they spoke their minds. They gave you insider information. They gave you a perspective that you really couldn't see before. But then as time went on and more athletes started realizing, hey, this is an easy paycheck. And I'm telling you, these guys make a lot to do this, especially the guy. If you get views on podcasting, you're doing really well in today's world. And that's obviously, we'd love to get there on this show. But for those guys, it was an easy paycheck. 2 hours a week, you sit down with your buddies and talk, and you get a fat paycheck. It's not a bad deal. But as with all things, right? The more and more people that started doing it, the less unique it became. And some guys aren't built for that. They're just not good at it. And you've seen now the oversaturation of the market, where I feel like when I'm driving, every single person I'm listening to, every single person in sports or acting, whatever, it's like, hey, check out my new podcast. It's like, oh my God, not good. I don't like that as a podcaster. I'd rather lessen the players. But I feel like that's happened with the celebrity fighting here, where all right, I don't need to see Tom Brady and Logan Paul fight. Like that's just not going to do it for me, especially as they've turned into more of exhibition fights and really just money grabs rather than if they were going to actually fight each other and take it seriously, then maybe I'd watch it. But clearly it's just a big money grab. It's a show. And I mean, I know the WWE is that to begin with. But with Tom Brady, you're seeing a lot more stuff with him that just doesn't feel Tom Brady like. In addition to the stuff this weekend, it's the whole Alex Earl partying on New Year's Eve and the Pizza Hut commercials and stuff that's a lot goofier than typical Tom Brady behavior, a little cringy in some situations. And it's just bizarre to see that from a guy who the only way we knew him for 30 years was leader on the field, ultimate preparation, taking care of his body at an insane level, like insane commitment to work ethic and winning. Just a straight up winner, right? A pro's pro. And you could even argue to a fault, right? Like his marriage, it seems like, deteriorated because he was so obsessed with football and winning, where for, again, 30 years, that was the only thing he cared about. Famously unselfish, taking care of his team by taking smaller contracts. Brandon Spikes had a story where he had a big third year in his career and he got snubbed from the Pro Bowl. And Brandon Spikes, a great player, right? He was crying in the locker room. A bunch of his teammates are coming up to him. Hey, don't worry about it. We got a lot in front of us. And Brady comes up to him and just goes, you think I play this shit for Pro Bowls? Think I do this shit for Pro Bowls? We're here to win rings. Pick your head up. That was the, leadership, ultimate focus you expected from Tom Brady. I think about, Roger Federer, I think was voted the classiest athlete a few years ago. I don't know. Brady was probably on that list. You think of sophistication, think of the Kobe Bryant, right, mentality. Can you imagine Kobe Bryant doing some of this stuff? I mean, Kobe Bryant, when he retired, won an Emmy. Like he won an Emmy for production, for producing I can't remember the name of it, but the short film about his upbringing with basketball. And Roger Federer, another guy, if we want to go down that road, like, can you imagine Roger Federer acting this way? Not really. It's hard to see that. But after 30 years of that, right? He's 45 years old. He's single. He, for the first time in his life, doesn't have this thing that he's committed every moment of time to. So what if he's enjoying himself? Like, I don't really care what Tom Brady does in his free time. And if he's going to make a lot of money from this, he's clearly having fun. Like, it's, I think it's okay for him to go out there and do this. It's not like there are much worse things that you could be doing in retirement as an ex-football player than joking around with a YouTuber at Fanatics Fest. And as far as the legacy stuff goes, nothing that Tom Brady does, truly nothing, as long as it doesn't get illegal, you can say, will tarnish his legacy as a football player. That's all cemented. 7 Super Bowls. is cemented, right? It's actually kind of funny to see Bill Belichick as well going down the similar path where here's someone who, the press conferences, the preparation, the work ethic, again, very him and Brady are attached at the hip. They were for the longest time the poster boys of winning and putting that above all else. And over the past few years with Belichick, there's the whole ring camera incident, and uh, obviously, him and his wife split up as well, and he's now dating the 25-year-old, 26-year-old. North Carolina hasn't gone so well, but no matter what happens in North Carolina, that doesn't remove the fact that Bill Belichick is a 6-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach, 2-time as a defensive coordinator. He's one of the best coaches to ever play in the league. Him and Brady both, you can't take away that success from them. It's not going to change. Nothing they do will change that. In 10 years from now, you're going to be looking back on this and you won't be thinking about all the goofy antics. When we're talking about, hey, who's the best quarterback of all time? Who's the best coach of all time? Their names are going to come up. And the way they got there with that work ethic is going to be attached to it. So I have no problem at all watching Tom Brady doing the stuff he's currently doing. Is it a little cringy? Is it a little strange, right? A character change? Absolutely. Like you can't argue that. It is bizarre to see that shift in character. But again, if I spent 30 years doing this and taking this really seriously, and you have that level of fame and I mean, yeah, he's one of the most famous people on the planet, and everyone knows him for being serious. And now, look, he wants to mess around a little bit. He's 45 years old. What's he gonna do? Sit around all day? Like I don't know. So would I be surprised if it's a midlife crisis in a sense? Not really. But you handle it the best you can. And for Tom Brady, that might just be fighting Jake or Logan Paul. Gonna make him a lot of money either way. So again, one of the incidents that happened with Brady was I should say, one of the pieces of shenanigans that Brady had this weekend was at the World Cup final, and we didn't talk about that the end of the World Cup on the Tuesday show, even though we covered it. I'd say kind of a lot over the past month or so. There's really not too much to talk about other than that. But I thought the final was a little underwhelming given how great the rest of the tournament was. I mean, the third place game, France and England, which shouldn't be played. I mean, there's no need for a third place game. I think they used to have one in the NCAA tournament. I didn't even realize that. No one wants to play in that game. All the players, all the coaches came out on England and France saying, why are we doing this? We don't want to be here. Pretty sure the president of FIFA even forgot about the game momentarily in a press conference. But I was actually in a player pool that I was in with some buddies, and it was most goals scored. So I was up 3 goals on someone who had Mbappe and Jude Bellingham. I didn't realize Bellingham wasn't playing or wasn't starting the game. I walk out. I actually went to a different Six Flags last weekend, and I see 4-0 England. I was like, oh, geez, all right, of course, Bellingham probably has 2 goals here. When I saw he hadn't scored, I was like, all right, this thing's over. And then, the chaos ensued with France's comeback, and Mbappe puts 2 in the net pretty quickly, and Bellingham almost takes the free kick. It was just kind of chaotic. The announcers are going crazy saying, never let this game end. And I was sitting back saying, please let this game end. Like, I just moved to Chicago. Like, this winnings could go a long way here with the amount of money I spent furnishing this apartment. So that game was thrilling, right? Whether or not you had a goals competition on the line, it was an exhilarating game. And that's really what the whole tournament has been. I think, as far as tournaments in my lifetime, the enjoyment I've gotten out of them, this World Cup's top 3. I mean, number 1 for me is the March Madness run I had last year when I picked every game right and won a ton of money. But game by game, it was just incredible. And I'm really fortunate with work from home that I got to watch most of this World Cup. But the games were thrilling. I mean, you can't deny that at all. And it felt like the final was, again, a 0-0 game going into extra time. Like that's, it was competitive. It wasn't it didn't have the exhilarating moments that the other games had. But one thing that it really bothers me about soccer, and I'm not going to sound like the ugly American coming in here and saying change the rules of a sport that's been around forever. These are the rules. But the red card being sent off for the whole game, it it just ends the competitive portion of the game. And to have the World Cup final basically end because of that red card in the 93rd, 94th minute, which look, I mean, like he flipped him over. It was a card. Like the correct call was made. But whenever I've watched soccer games and I've seen someone sent off the field and it's 11 on 10, it really it does end all competitiveness. It basically, unless you have a moment like in US Bosnia where we got the free kick and Tillman put in the back of the net. England, Mexico, right? It was just Mexico assaulting England and England hoping they didn't give up a goal. Switzerland, Argentina, same exact thing. When Embolo got sent off, it's Switzerland just hanging on for dear life, hoping Argentina doesn't put one in the back of the net. And eventually they did, and they won the game. There's just so long you can hold off when it's a constant attack on your goal. And Spain does absolutely deserve to win. They were the best team in the tournament. I mean, they're having a legendary run here between the Euros and the World Cup now. So I'm not unhappy with them winning the tournament, but it sucks to see, okay, like here we were in an unbelievable game. Lionel Messi's on the other side of the pitch. Look at me, I'm turning into a European here. Lionel Messi's on the other side. Don't really get to see him have an opportunity for even a moment because it's 11 on 10 and Argentina's getting their ass kicked. Now, I mean, Messi did have that shot that the one that the Spanish guy took right in the face. Surely he was concussed the rest of the game. Just no way he was back on the field with anything other than a concussion after again. I mean, I remember playing soccer growing up, and by no means was I playing at any level near where we were having crosses coming in and headers. If you kicked it to the middle of the field, we were just everyone was kicking at it with their foot. But I do remember a few times when the ball would get played up in the air and people would go up for headers. Like that thing hurt. I did not enjoy that part of the sport. And to see that Spanish guy take the Messi shot from 5 or 10 yards out directly into the face. It was like the Scott Sterling YouTube video. He's a national hero. Now, I don't think he intentionally took it to the face. I think he intentionally got in Messi's way, thinking okay, I want to block this. But if he had reaction time, I think he would have moved his head. It was like a bullet coming at him. Hero, though, because that may have gone in from everything everyone's saying. It looked like it was on trajectory to be close. But you don't get a moment like that, really, with Messi when it's an 11 on 10. And that's just disappointing to me. If Argentina had won in PKs, probably feels like they stole it. Again, not disappointing that Spain won, but just, I don't know. Do you want it in the NHL? Would you want to see a game go to overtime and it's a power play for all of overtime? Who's going to win that game? Every single time. It is amazing to me just how big of an impact it is with one guy sent off. I mean, the game ends. So the final, not as exciting, but Spain deserved to win. Awesome team, dominant run, gave up, I believe, 1 goal the entire tournament to Belgium. And it was just a massive success for soccer in the United States this World Cup. Now, I don't think this is going to lead to the MLS getting much bigger. I have zero desire. I'm here in Chicago. They have the Chicago Fire. I grew up in New Jersey. We have the Red Bulls. I think Thierry Henry was there when I was a kid. Messi's coming to town here, I think, in a few weeks. Maybe that'll get me, but I just don't care. And most people in America are not going to care about the MLS. I don't think there'll be an influx of young kids playing soccer. Basketball dominates that. Football dominates that. We have a lot of sports that we like to play. And part of the big problem for the MLS is that it's just not the best. It's not the best competition. It's not even close. The best players until we have a world where the best players in the world are playing the MLS in their primes, it's not going to take off. It's the same way. Think about football. I've had this take on football leagues forever. There will never be another successful football league. I don't care who's backing it. the XFL, flag football, USFL, like whatever acronym you want to make up, it will not be successful because we don't care about leagues that have the fifth and sixth best players on a roster. I don't even know how far down they are in the XFL. I'm much further down than that, probably. We don't care about the leagues that have the backup players. You turn on the NFL to watch Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen duel. You turn it on to watch the best players in the world. And the MLS, yes, it had, I think, outside of the big five leagues in Europe, I believe it was the number one or best represented team in the World Cup. But again, that's the sixth most represented league. Like it's not going to take off as long as that's the case. So I don't think it'll be some sort of revelation for soccer in this country. But I do think it showed how big events, big sporting events are always going to win. I mean, the numbers, I got the numbers here. US Belgium, 50.1 million viewers. That would be the third biggest sporting event over the past 12 months behind the Super Bowl and I believe the Thanksgiving Chiefs Cowboys game. Now the numbers aren't official for this yet, but I do think that the final Argentina and Spain came in at 61.5 million, which would put it up as the number 2 event, right? I think, that's even bigger than Chiefs Cowboys if those numbers are correct. So you got 61.5 million for the final. You had 50 million for the US Belgium game. England Mexico. Remember the hype. Remember how great that game was on Sunday night. 46.7 million views. That's right there with the conference championship games, more than the average divisional and wild card games for the NFL. I mean, this tournament had a lot of big time ratings for games, and it's because it felt huge. And I know, like, the people I work for, a lot of them are Fox related. Fox did an awesome job because every game felt like a mega event. And that England Mexico one's the perfect example to me. Most people I know watch the World Cup and they watch the US games. England Mexico, everyone I knew who liked sports, or even some people who didn't, were texting about that game because it was hyped up. In Mexico, 80,000, 100,000 people are in that stadium going crazy. It felt like a big time Sunday night football game. And the ratings actually had it showing that it rated higher than a big time Sunday night football game. And that's in America, right? So these ratings are across Telemundo and Fox for combined viewership in the country. So as long as you have these events treated this way, and in the country, I'm sure that these numbers would have been higher too, guys. Like the semis had 25.6 million views they averaged. That's in line with Knicks Spurs Game 5. That's in line with the World Series Game 7. It's a little bit behind the national championship in college. Those games were played at 3:00 on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Like, that's another thing to remember as far as the American ratings go. Since FIFA wanted Europe to be able to watch these games, understandably, these were not prime time. The World Cup was at 3:00 on a Sunday. The final was 3:00 on a Sunday, or 2:00, whatever, here. The semis were in the middle of a workday. A lot of people couldn't watch those games. England, Mexico, 46.7 million, Sunday night, prime time. I mean, that was probably my favorite game of the entire tournament because it felt like Sunday night football, and maybe it just made me miss football. But big events, man, they will always crush in this country when you get momentum behind something. I remember Ziggy gave me one of the biggest compliments of my life. I think it was a junior or senior year in college. And he just said, what did he say? It was like, it was about Marvel. We went to see Endgame and Infinity War. And I was super excited, like beyond excited for those movies. Marvel's heyday, I was obsessed with it. I could not wait for those. I had a calendar in my dorm where I had events that I was looking forward to, and I would count down to them. Like those Marvel movies were all on the calendar. And for those, the Infinity War and Endgame movies, I just was going around the entire dorm, just trying to get as many people as possible to come in. We wound up getting, I think, 30 or 35 dudes going to see these movies for both of them. Had like entire rows of the movie theater checked out. And Ziggy said, he was like, Paul, like, you have this awesome ability to make me care for things I'd never care about because you make it feel big. And like that was an awesome compliment to get from him. That, like, you can make ordinary things feel really important. Or things I don't care about feel really important. And that's kind of what this was here with the World Cup. Now, the World Cup obviously is an important event sporting wise, but in this country, a lot of people don't feel that way. You understood the magnitude of it when you saw the way the Norway fans came in and were having the time of their life. The Scottish fans drinking Boston clean. It really did feel like a world event, and that's a cool thing that sports can do, man. It's amazing to see how fired up and how united everyone can be over these games and excited. It's fun to have things to look forward to. So I don't know, how that'll be applied moving forward. How you can take that and help soccer out at all. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. But hockey did a great job of that with the Four Nations, right? Who gave a shit about the NHL All-Star game? All of a sudden, you put some country pride behind it. U.S. Canada, the guys take it seriously. They're fighting before the game, and that U.S. Canada, I was going to say gold medal game. No, it was a four-nation final game. It did feel like the Olympics. I mean, people really cared about that, and it was awesome. That's one of my favorite sporting events of the year. Get people to care about things, and the rest is easy. So we'll be back. Let's see. How long have I been going here? 38 minutes, 35 minutes. Again, I messed up at the beginning. So kind of a quick episode. Tomorrow, we're going to have my tiers. My contender tiers are going to come out. The guys are going to react to those as we go through. Who are the top contenders for the Super Bowl? I'm still working them out. I have the rankings 1 to 32 pretty much finalized, but I'm kind of working on actually breaking them into tiers here and how, just how large I want each category to be. I'm sure Ziggy and Jack will have plenty to say about that. But we'll do a tier list, maybe a couple training camp storylines, depending on how what news comes out or how long we go on the tiers. Some mailbag at the end, hopefully. And then next week is I'll be back in Jersey. So I'm sure we'll have either a training camp reaction Tuesday, but at the very least, Thursday we'll be live for Ziggy's final show with the decision about what football team. He's texting me today. He's like, I got to order the hats for the decision. I'm like, well, you just get a Viking hat. You don't need to make this a big deal. You're a Viking fan. And he's like, well, Paul, I need to get a few hats here. So I guess this is a real thing going on. Again, please remember to, if you're enjoying the show, leave a like, give a comment, subscription. It's kind of weird. In my apartment, it's still kind of empty. And you can really hear people from out in the hallway. I can hear people out there right now who maybe are just tuning into the show. That might be it. That'd be kind of cool to open the door and just have a line of people. But they can hear me shouting into the camera like, oh, God, we got a podcaster in the building. Here we go. Or I'm neighbors with a podcaster. Even worse than being in the building. So yeah, if you enjoyed the show, please send over the subscription. Would mean a lot for us. Give some feedback on if you enjoyed the solo episode. Feel free to critique. I'm always down for criticism. Constructive criticism. So some comments. We've got mean ones over the years, and you learn to kind of get your calluses and have them bounce off. But yeah, any constructive criticism on the solo shows if you enjoyed it, and we'll be back, or I'll be back a little later, till tomorrow.